Hi,
Hello,
I'm Julian.
and I'm Dark Web Tom.
We are Team Binge, and we are here to talk about Silo Season 3, Episode 3. This one was called A Dark Web, and oh, what a dark, dark web they weave, Tom. They're weaving it. Things are being woven. I enjoyed this one. Once again, this show can drag. It did not drag. So I enjoyed this episode. The thing I most enjoyed, Tom, is that there has been a mythical place that they talk about in the silo that as of previous episodes, we've never gotten to visit. We didn't know if it existed. And in this time, we got to go there, to that magical place known as the Mines, which turns out is just like a door on one of the levels. It's like, we didn't even have to go into the down, down deep. In fact, at one point, when the raiders are like, oh, we're going to the mines, or the exterminators like, we're going to the mines, they run up the stairs. I was like, wait, why are you guys going up? Like, mines are clearly down. But I'm realizing it is a silo, so I guess you can mine. I don't know. I just know that they've talked about the mines. I did not think they existed. And then this episode, they were just like, oh, you didn't notice the door with the M on it? That's the mines right there. That, everyone that gets banished goes through that door. I found it very funny that it was just a random door in the silo.
I did have the exact same thought. Like when you hear mine, you just assume it's on the bottom, but the fact that they are literally already in the earth, it does kind of make sense that it would just jut out randomly in the middle, because I guess they essentially go more vertical than they do horizontal, as the algorithm kind of calls out later. But yeah, it definitely took me aback for a second.
Yeah, they're just like a Stussy symbol. They're just cutting up and down and diagonal and making it all work. So
They're still a thing, I think. I remember I used to draw that logo all the time at school. That was my doodle.
yeah, mines are still a thing, Tom. I don't know where you think copper comes
No,
from.
Stussy.
But
Stussy.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Stussy and mines. They're both still a thing. They're both doing pretty well, I might add. Okay, the thing that I wanted to touch on in the recap is that Orla Kent is missing, although we figured that one out pretty quick. The vitamins, vitamin D plus is headed to water filtration. We're going to figure that one out too. We've got a solution at the end of this episode, as well as we're continuing to search for Lucas Kyle. Tom, how did you feel about episode 3? Did you want to go into the mines, or did you enjoy this episode?
I very much enjoyed it. I thought we got some good kind of call-outs in both areas. Yeah, both in the Before Times and the Silo. I liked how we didn't maybe spend as much time in the Before Times. Like, we got a little bit of that story kind of moving forward, and I think it went quick, which I like, because I think a lot of the interest here is for us getting into the Silo. And we finally get, Julia doesn't fully have her memories back yet. I think that is coming, and I'm hoping soon. But we're seeing more of like old Jules. Like, she's taking stuff, she's leaving Jerry behind. She's kind of off the leash. She's kind of doing her own thing. Conversation she has with Knox later, I really enjoyed. So yeah, good pace, good episode. I liked it. What about you?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think Jerry's definitely getting fired at no fault of his own. I appreciate that Juliet dies at least once an episode. And you're excited for her to get her memory back, Tom. I'm excited for her to be murdered by Camille. That's definitely going to happen. So we're all going to get what we want. I appreciated how they ended this. And I know last time I mentioned I don't care about the Before Times. Guess what, Tom? This episode kind of made me care about the Before Times. I enjoyed Helen and Daniel Keene running around, talking to weird computer guys. I've got some questions about Dark Web Steve later on in the episode, but we'll talk about it then. But I did enjoy that storyline and kind of what is revealed. I have a new overarching theory, and I don't know when we want to talk about that, because I'm 100% sure I'm right. And so when I reveal it to everyone and ruin the story, even though I haven't read the books, we should probably put that in a special place on the pod so that people that don't want to be exposed to my genius don't have to be,
Listen, did we have a corner in one of the previous episodes? Was it the after party or something? It was like Tom's theory corner or something like that. So maybe at the end, when we kind of finish the Before Time storyline, we'll give you a little time to theory craft, and then I will either nod up and down or nod left and right, but you'll never know.
I'll never know, because this is an audio media that I cannot see you on. So that'll be fine. But let's dive into it. Juliet is as you put it, without her chaperone. She is just walking around. She's like, Jerry, do you like job security? Because I'm going to get you fired, buddy. And then she takes off.
Yeah, Jerry, I mean, I know you were kind of suspect with Jerry. You thought he was kind of like on the payroll and trying to get her trust. But I think Jerry's in. He's part of, he's not a full-on outsider, but he knows there's some shenanigans going on. And I think he's helping out Juliet here.
He may also just be bad at his job. He's like, listen, if I don't have to walk up and down those stairs all day, sure, Juliet, go crazy. You walk down to the mines, which are 2 floors below us at the level 142, where mines typically are.
Listen, she would have eventually lost him as a tail if he was following her when she went down that rope later, which was super dope, but we'll get to it.
Yes, with one glove. Yeah, seemed like a good idea. All right, we are also reminded by the nicest nurse that anyone has ever had care for them that...
Ratchet, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That Juliet continues to spit out her meds, which she is reporting to Camille. We're all on the same page. Look out for that glass of water, Juliet, though. It's coming for you. You don't have to worry about pills soon. Mm-hmm. Juliet continues to look for Lucas Kyle, and she has sent a note down to Shirley. I felt like they helped us in episode 2 explain Shirley's motivation and her lack of helpfulness. In this episode, I'm back to being a little bit confused as to why Shirley is the way that she is. But the one thing I did note in this moment is... Knox asks her, like, hey, what's the note about? And she lies to him, which I don't know if because Knox is now head of mechanical, going to the democracy meeting that's not really a democracy meeting, whether or not she doesn't trust him or whether or not she just doesn't want to help Juliet and doesn't want to tell him. I don't know what Shirley is doing.
Yeah, these are all fair points, most of which I missed because this whole scene had a shirtless Knox, which was hard to focus on anything else.
Yeah.
The dude is just so handsome.
Speaking of a guy that's gone to the mines and swung a sledgehammer a couple of times, that guy's definitely doing some Tybo, Maybe he's got those P90X DVDs. He's definitely used a shaker weight or two in his time. You know what I mean? The Gazelle glider. He's up there on that Gazelle glider. He's doing them all,
How do you know all these? This is impressive.
Listen.
Riddling off 90s and early aughts exercise equipment.
We didn't have cable. So when the 4 channels turned to like infomercials at whatever hour of the day, that's what I watched, man. I'll tell you about the magic bullet. I love the magic bullet. You got me one because I love the infomercial. So,
It's great. I mean, we'll get to it a little bit later when Juliet actually talks to Shirley. But I just don't understand Shirley's character. I also don't love these two as like a couple. Like, I don't feel, my wife had called it out and I agree. Like, the chemistry is not great between these two actors. And I just don't think we needed to have a romantic relationship outside of them now, I guess, living together and creating a new dynamic. But I don't understand why Shirley is now kind of pushing Knox away. So
Hard disagree. I think this is the greatest love story ever told, Tom. Shirley and Knox. I hope those
like
crazy
and Buttercup.
Kids. Yep. I hope those crazy kids make it. And that the generator doesn't break down, ultimately lead to them arguing a bunch and then getting a divorce. So, Juliet shows up at the Billings residence and asks Billings' wife, like, hey, like, can you help me out here? I don't know you. You don't know me. And she's being super cagey. And Tom, forgive me, I do not remember her name.
I had to use the Apple Insights. It was Kathleen. Kathleen is Billings' wife.
Okay, so Kathleen, who we know is an outsider. Billings and her obviously have a child. During this conversation, she is not helpful. And Juliet happens to note the wrist. And the wrist has been injured because of during the break-in into IT to steal the helmet. And Juliet, while her memory is gone, her sharp detective skills are not. She sees this almost immediately.
I had a question. Like, did she break her wrist? And does putting, like, gauze or a wrap around a broken wrist help it?
Yes. Yes, it does, Tom, because this is a TV show. And I don't think they have proper cast-making devices, although They seem to have a bunch of other mechanical things, which is not the same as medical. But I don't know, Tom. I've never broken a bone. That's
not a doctor.
True. I've broken several bones and also not a doctor. But yes, I would argue that stabilizing a wrist while broken would help
fabric.
it.
Yeah.
For those of you that have medical questions, if you'd like us to diagnose something or tell you how to fix something, you can reach us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. Just put in the subject line, help, help, I'm bleeding. I only have a few minutes. Please help. And we will get to it right away.
And please no attachments of pictures. We don't need that.
If you send attachments, Tom will look at them. Yes. So please send them. That's a dangerous game, asking the internet to send you pictures. All right, let's move on. So she is looking, obviously, for Kennedy and Lucas. Kathleen tells her repeatedly, hey, Lucas is dead. Everyone thinks Lucas is dead. Mm-hmm. Turns out, Tom, Lucas, not dead. So we see him later on. And they go into like all of the searching that happened and when Lucas disappeared. And also brings up, and I don't know did we see this scene in a previous season where Sim shows up and accosts Lucas and his mom, like during the rebellion, asking what Bernard has told him? Was this something that we witnessed?
I can't remember if it was or if it was like in this 3-month gap kind of thing. Like while they were actively searching for Lucas, maybe he tried to like shake down the mom or something. But yeah, like the other thing that kind of comes from this too is like just the mountain of bodies that ultimately happened with the rebellion. Like they kind of yada yada'd it as we started this season, but this kind of says like ultimately they had to like bury the bodies, or there were so many bodies in the bottom that they had to like just keep the incinerator running constantly.
Yes, and they played that song about bodies hitting the floor on repeat just to...
Yeah, that classic Phil Collins, yeah.
Yeah, Phil Collins, classic, let the bodies hit the floor. She says something about the bodies were like 3 deep. Now, did a bunch of people die when the gap blew up, or was there a battle that we are not privy to? Like,
no, there was a big battle in season 2 at the end, like in the rebellion where the Raiders went down, and there was a lot of like back and forth, and I mean they brought guns, right? The Raiders had guns and they were shooting everybody, so yeah, there was a lot of death that happened. What the bomb was for the stairs, I think, was essentially just to kind of destabilize the silo and cut them off from the toppers.
Now, they threw these bodies down, right? They didn't walk them down. It took 6 hours to get Bernard's bodies down. We didn't do that for we threw those bodies to the floor, right?
I mean, I think most of the bodies were already in the lower levels, but I would argue, again, they probably installed the slides.
Installed the slide and just
and then put some water on it. Yeah,
greased them up and slid them down, you know?
Exactly.
A little vitamin grease, as they call it. All right. We cut through a couple of conversations in this episode with Camille and the algorithm, and I appreciate how unhinged the algorithm is starting to be. I'm not going to lie, in the other episodes, I was kind of like, all right, I get the algorithm, kind of on its side. I would love to give it my soul if I could. If my soul had not already been given to another, I would give it to this algorithm. And then also you are seeing Camille's like hesitation and what she's, I like to think she's conflicted. At the end of this episode, the way they end it, she's not very conflicted, but ultimately, she is trying to handle things before the vitamin D gets sent to water filtration, and the algorithm is like not seeing everyone losing their memory as a problem. The algorithm's like, listen, we've done it a bunch of times. Honestly, I did it to you in this room like 10 years ago. You'll be fine. Like, all of this is much better than the safeguard, which is a more permanent memory loss procedure, we'll say.
Yeah. I mean, I think everything we see from this algorithm, he's like just throwing all these stats and stuff on screen for her to kind of see, or he's calling out. It's just doing everything he can to keep the silo afloat and keep these people alive. Like, it seems like the algorithm certainly doesn't want to have to use a safeguard, but will use it without hesitation.
Tom, do you think you would have been a good head of IT in this situation?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask if I'd be a good algorithm.
I know you'd be a great algorithm, Tom. Right now, you're just a voice to me and a bar modulating up and down that lets me know your levels. So I know you would be an incredible algorithm.
I don't think I would be great at the head of IT. As we find out later, deception and lying is a very key component of that. I've played many of deception and lying games with you and our friends, and I think our friend David would probably be a much better head of IT.
Sure, that's fair. And Tom, those aren't games. That's just called friendship, my man, where we lie and are deceitful to one another. Just called lifelong friends. That's all.
What was the game we played? We're like Morgana and Merlin.
Yeah, it's like a version of Mafia or Werewolf, whatever those ones are called, where, you have to lie to one another. And you are pretty bad on that. Tom, thanks for asking me. I would be an incredible head of IT. Honestly...
Lie to me. Tell me how you'd be great at it.
I would be so quick to just be like, let's do the safeguard algorithm. I've tried everything.
I'd be going all the way to the death of everybody?
I'd be like, listen, I'm not walking up and down these stairs one more time, algorithm. We're doomed. I'd be like, listen, algorithm, I'm hearing a lot of things you're not, and everyone's really mad at you, and they all want to go out the door. So, brother, let's just fire up that safeguard right now. And the algorithm would be like, I don't believe that's true. And I'll be like, listen, would I lie to you as the head of IT, which is... I'm supposed to be good at lying. Like, please just safeguard everyone right now. Honestly, I'd be bad at it because every time the algorithm threw statistics at me, I'd be like, now, can you show me those numbers? And the algorithm would, like, explain it to me. And I'd be like, I don't understand math. So safeguard me, please. Safeguard all of us.
Yeah. Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Yeah. All right, you have a lemonade stand. Yes.
And then the algorithm's like, you know what? I don't have time for this. Safeguard. And then you just hear the hissing of gas. Gas solves a lot of problems in this silo. We find that out in this one. All right, we have a conversation with Billings and Orla's sister, and I don't like to throw shade, but they have saddled Orla's sister with some dialogue that I'm just like, got it. Like, let's move on. She's like, oh, she's the first person to become a shadow and a head of a department. She's the apple or the peach of my parents' eye. Like, we all love her. Oh, but she had a boyfriend whose name was Mike Davidson. And it's just like, all right, got it. Like, I don't even think Billings is interested after a while, you know? Like, I know it's tough to listen and walk upstairs, but Billings like, I got it. She's missing. I'll look for her. Everyone loved her. I got it. She had a family and a boyfriend named Mike Davidson, which is important.
I mean, it's just a lead, right? Like, he's going to talk to Mike Davidson later. Like, clearly that's what the show's doing. And, like, she says, like, oh, she was burdened, and maybe it's the stress of running the supply. But like, the fact that I don't know, all this stuff is a little bit weird because we know, I guess, at the end of this that Orla, which I'm kind of bummed. I like the actress in that first episode. I thought she did a great job. Like, if she really is dead and died in the mines here, we know she had a falling out, even publicly, like on the staircase with the head of the mines. So clearly it's continuing to point us at that Ed, or whatever his name was, of the mines, potentially doing some shenanigans and taking out Orla.
Sure. Yeah, this seemed a little bit weird because I thought we were going to get, unless we're rolling into the investigation of who killed her, and I would say it's probably most definitely not going to be the nefarious mine guy that points, they like, we're like, it's definitely this old mean guy, he killed her. Yeah. But listen, I love a murder mystery. If Billings is just running around trying to solve this one, I think there's probably more important things happening in the silo than the death of Orla, but... You know, she was the first one. Tom, I don't know if you know this, but she was the first one in her family to become a shadow and lead a department, and that's pretty important. So
it's like the first to go to college.
Yeah. Something I one day will do. All right. We cut from there. We've got Juliet and Sims having a conversation. Common, just, man, give him the Emmy now. He's so upset. He's like, why are you around my child? She's like, I was essentially looking for you. I'm sorry we're outside of your kid's school. But Common is so upset. And I guess it makes sense. He's bringing up that, like, Juliet held him and Camille at gunpoint at one point, and so
that does seem traumatic. And
sure.
I like the way he pushes this because it's like it's not about you; it's about him remembering you.
Right.
So I appreciate that, and I understand Common's fantastic acting and being very angry in this moment.
Sure, he does a great job. He's like, listen, I don't know if you know this, but I represent IBM, and I think IBM could do a lot of good for this silo. I love
that you bring that up, by the way. When's the last time Common has done an IBM commercial?
I don't know. If live sports aren't on, I don't see commercials, Tom, so I don't know if those commercials still exist. If you told me IBM went out of business 40 years ago, I'd be like, that makes sense. I mean, their name is terrible. What is it, like the International Learning Machine or whatever it is? I don't know. Let's move on. All right, so I do appreciate how Juliet, because she has no memory, has decided she can just ask anyone anything about anyone. Yes, there's no subtlety in any of this. She's just like, hey, where's Lucas Kyle? He was in the mines. Bernard made him his shadow. What's going on? And Sims is like, I don't know. And then immediately he goes to Camille and he's like, hey, we need to have a family meeting because Juliet's asking some questions. And this conversation that happens with Camille and Sims, and we'll hop into it in a little bit. At first, I was super confused at, like, what's happening with Sims and why he's so upset. But I actually like what the show did with his desperation, with his son, with Camille, and, like, what his motivation is. Because I do think they have made him out just to be, like, the leader of the Gestapo, and like he just wants kind of power, and he's perfectly willing to throw someone over the railing. But to see this common side of him as a father, I don't even know if that sentence made sense, but I'm so proud of it that I liked what they did here. But ultimately, he calls a family meeting with Camille to let her know, to tattle on Juliet, essentially, right?
Yeah, I guess, he decides that the whole family is going to play hooky. They're going to go do their own thing. And obviously, Camille's got a lot on her mind and a lot on her plate that she's dealing with. I'm still a little bit confused about, how much Sims knows of the algorithm and the other stuff. He clearly knows about the algorithm, but I'm wondering if Camille is keeping some of this stuff close to the vest.
Let's talk through that meeting, because these two are talking, and Sims's whole point is, hey, we need to make, family memories. This all of a sudden, making memories is very important, and Camille clocks it. And at first I was like, well, does he know about the vitamin D that's being slowly pulled up the stairs by the slowest porters that have ever lived? I mean, 800 fumigators get to the mines in, 5 seconds in this episode, and this vitamin D is still making its way up the stairs. So Sims is ultimately... we find out that through Bernard, he knows about vitamin D. I'm assuming he also knows about the algorithm from Bernard, right?
Well, they in the end of episode or season 2, they all go into the room together, into the vault, right? So he sees the algorithm, he knows something, and I think he even does in this conversation. Maybe he doesn't know specifically about the memories. Well, no, he does know about the memories because he's the one that offered it to Kennedy later on,
right?
Or in the earlier episodes.
And he makes a comment in this conversation where he says, "Oh, vitamin D, it's the same thing we're doing to Juliet, but slower, and we won't know it's happening. And ultimately, our son will not remember us. Anthony will not remember us, and he won't know that I was a mediocre dad because I worked a lot and was constantly throwing people over the railing."
Yeah, he was just a common dad.
That's exactly right. Just a common dad. But
I love their back and forth too, and it ultimately ends with Camille saying we need to do everything we can to save this silo, and if it means everybody getting vitamin D, even us, and essentially not remembering our kid and forgetting him, as long as he is safe and alive, that is the important thing. So we understand her motivations as a mother as well.
Right. And I get that. I have so many questions, and I think this is the tricky thing with this whole memory loss, because unless it's an exact science, which I know the algorithm's hey, we've got a lot of statistics backing up what we're doing. Oh, by the way, it doesn't seem to be working on Juliet. She's an outlier. He read Malcolm Gladwell's book. Congratulations, algorithm. My query to you, Tom, is... if we're not remembering our fathers, if we're not remembering our families, these core memories, Are we going to remember how to fix the generator? Are we going to remember how to interrogate someone to learn their secrets? Are we going to remember how to throw someone off a balcony? You know, what are we going to remember if we all take vitamin D? I'm confused.
Well, I think, I don't know. I feel like what they've done in the Before Times bit is like, you know, when the doctor was kind of talking about this drug or whatever it is, and you imagine it's been around for a decent amount of time now, like 300 and some years that they've been in these silos, that they've like perfected it to a point where maybe this drug, it essentially just messes with your long-term memory. Like you still understand and remember the portions that essentially help the silo out and keep it all running, but you forget about the rebellion, or maybe it just kind of calms people to a point where they just don't want to rebel or whatever it is. But I do think the show is kind of yada-yadaing that a little bit and kind of making it super clean. Like, we could just do this, everybody forgets, and the silo can still function without problem. Because they said as much that this happened 130 some years ago, right?
Right. Yes, 140 years ago, that like founders rebellion, whatever, and they created the pact, or at least the pact was involved. I gotcha.
I'll call this out now, though, because like later on when we do have Camille like looking at the computer and she sees like the rap sheet for the guy that like went in the mines.
Chambers, Mark Chambers. Yeah.
Yes. You do see like a date, again, words on screen. I paused it. I wrote some stuff down. You see words on screen like dates. So the date of like his last like arrest, I guess, was 5/31, 134 AR. So it took my wife and I a second to figure out what that is, but I'm assuming that means after rebellion. So it's like May 31st, 134 years after that rebellion, or that kind of rewipe, because essentially everybody kind of lost their memories, I guess, and then they start the clock again. So I do think it'd be kind of weird if you're like looking at your calendar and it just randomly changed to 6101.
Sure.
AAR
Sure.
after rebellion.
Yeah.
It might maybe kind of have you question some stuff, but I thought that was kind of an interesting little addition to the show that you can kind of catch from that scene on the computer.
Right. And it also explains why Mark Chambers is in a wheelchair, because he's 134 years old. So that's, yeah, I appreciate you explaining that. Uh-huh. Anyways, let's wrap up the Camille and Sims of it all just by saying Sims then goes down to talk to Anthony. He's like, Mom's not taking you fishing today. It's just me. Mm-hmm. And Anthony gives him the Pez. And we do get this relationship callback of how important like tactile relics are to memory. And so I liked this bit, and I like the idea of Sims giving Anthony the Pez. And I believe this is the same duck Pez that has been throughout the show, right? Makes sense.
It was like a relic that Sims had and then gave it to his kid as a means to like say like, hey, if you have this, you shouldn't feel worried. And then the kid kind of doing the same thing back to him. It's touching and it's good. And I like kind of rounding out a little bit more of that heart with Sims' character, so he's not so one-dimensional.
Right. And I think it is important to add that they do family meetings right. Camille and Sims yell at each other. They get angry. Emotions are let loose. That's how family meetings should go. I've been on record.
Yeah.
No one cried, but I think anger and yelling sometimes substitutes for that. So I think this was a good family meeting.
Agreed. I'd agree. Yeah, they do get interrupted, so maybe they were getting to the tears. It just didn't happen.
Right. But before throwing punches, which is important. The family meeting should end before physical violence, but not before yelling and crying.
Emotional violence.
Yes. That's always been how we've done it in my family. And I love that other families carry on that tradition. It's especially important during the holidays. I just want to point that out as well. All right, let's go back, because like we've combined those conversations, but also what's happening during this time is Juliet is headed down and she is talking with Shirley. And Shirley, just seeing Juliet causes her to let loose of a crank, which almost kills 3 people. And everyone's like, we're all cool here, Shirley, no big deal. And the other workers are like, oh, I'll go talk to her for you. Like, the sight of Juliet is so like traumatizing that Shirley can't handle this. And then we have this conversation where Juliet's like, hey, why aren't you helping me? And Shirley's like, well, I'm just going to tell you, it's really difficult to see your best friend that doesn't remember you. And it's like, Juliet's like, yeah, you were my best friend. That's why I'm asking for help. And I was like, listen, the lady without memory is making some great points, Shirley. Like, maybe maybe we try and help here a little bit, you know?
Yeah, like you said, they tried to kind of give her an out in the last episode, but her kind of going back and just being really selfish. Like, I get that you're struggling and this is difficult, but my goodness, put yourself in your best friend's shoes and see it from her standpoint. Like, why are you not doing everything you can to help her out? Again, don't love Shirley.
Right. And this all leads to Juliet being like, I'm going down, you can't stop me. And she does that cool rope slide, which I just want to point out, I think she only wears one glove. And when you slide down a rope, it burns. It burns. Unless these are like cooling ropes, which I don't know if the medical community has invented yet. But you'd have so many blisters sliding down, fast roping down this rope.
Listen, I like it because she steals the gloves from that guy, so she wouldn't have had enough time to put on said gloves, but she just kind of, wraps it around the rope, used it to go down. She's the best. It would have been better if she was saying "we" the whole time as she went down, but still, really cool.
Would have been better had she fallen halfway through and the show just being like, oops, all right, we got to vote for a new mayor, you know? I honestly, there was a half a beat where I was like, oh, did they just kill Juliet with the gas? I was like, that would be an interesting thing for this show to do. But these cowards didn't. They put her in a hospital bed and they're going to let Camille kill her. But, okay, I do want to point out, once she's down there, she meets up with Knox and they're having a very interesting conversation where Knox is like, you don't remember anything. I remember more about you than you remember. And he's like telling her how amazing she is. And Tom, are you bothered by the Shirley-Knox relationship because you want Juliet and Knox to get married and have babies? Is that where that's coming from, Tom?
No, it's not. Like, I don't need a lot of like romantic like relationship lovey-dovey stuff in a show like this. I just don't. I don't think it's needed.
Lovey-dovey Tom doesn't want more lovey-dovey in his shows. That's not what you typically say.
You know I'm a hopeless romantic, but I would say this show, I don't think it really needs, at least with these characters. Like, they were just essentially best friends in Mechanical, and I think they should remain so. But yeah, like, and I think it's in the later scene where Knox kind of opens up, but Knox is kind of saying essentially he knows about the mines, they're a nightmare, and he knows a guy that could potentially help. So that's where we ultimately go to Mark Chambers, right, who we met in last season, who I think kind of helped him out with the rebellion.
Yeah, he's the guy that I think they asked him to make weapons, and he did. But in this conversation, this Mark Chambers, who's supposed to be, I don't know, he's boys with Knox, he is so uncooperative. And there is a point in this show where it's like, why is everyone being so uncooperative when it comes to Juliet? Why is her best friend being so uncooperative? Why is this guy who didn't have a problem, I believe, helping out the rebellion before, why is he so uncooperative just about sharing information about the mines? This guy's like, listen, he's dead, you're dead, we're all gonna die. Like, I did not understand why this guy, just have a conversation, but this is definitely like a showism. We can't give her all the easy answers, so.
I think it's a little bit of that, and it's a little bit, I mean, she is the, like, head honcho, the mayor of this silo, right? So, like, they got to be kind of cautious and careful with what they're saying in front of her, because it's a volatile time right now, and the fact that she is the mayor, even though she does maybe
she's
don't have
hero,
her memories.
Tom. They've made a point of saying she's a folk hero. We get the speech a couple minutes before from Knox where he's like, you're the only one that's been outside, you saw the sky, you fixed the generator so we have lights, you look super cool going down that rope with only one glove. No one knows how you did that. Is your hand okay? Do you need some ice? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm with you. This guy was never very helpful in the last season, too. Like, they had to kind of, I think, do quite a bit and bend his arm to have him make all the weapons. So, yeah, I think he's just showing the curmudgeon side and the people that, I guess, go to the mines. Because he's like, it's a terrible place. If you go in, you'll never come out.
Right. And she's like, I guess I'll walk down to him. And he's like, no. You can wheel right over there. The door to the mines is literally within throwing distance. It's right over there. And he just points because the mine is just through a door, Tom. That's all.
It
just
is.
Through a door. Yep. right. While Juliet and Knox are walking, they do get followed, which I didn't really understand the nature of this. I think she knew she was being chaperoned and followed, but all of a sudden we get a lot of like hiding and dodging, and we're running upstairs, and the person who's following is not very good at their job because Knox is 8 feet tall, so tough to miss that guy, and he's not wearing a shirt. Like, just follow him, you know?
Yeah, I think the idea being, like we know they're limited on cameras, so like below this line, I guess, when she goes down the rope, they probably just don't have any cameras, so they need somebody physically to be tailing her at this point. So Juliet is kind of mindful of that, clocks this lady, again, doing a very bad job, and they get away.
We get some weird exposition from Camille where initially she's not worried that Juliet's gone down to talk to this Chambers, but once she reads his note that he was in the mines, she immediately thinks, oh, she's looking for Lucas Kyle, or he might be able to share something about Lucas Kyle. Is that why this all of a sudden becomes an urgency, just the Lucas Kyle connection to the mines?
Well, and I kind of paused it as she's scrolling through the guy's rap sheet, and I thought there was going to be more to it, like some other kind of thing that she's reading. But yeah, she just associates this Mark Chambers guy with the mines and Lucas going to the mines. And then I do like the conversation that Camille then has with the algorithm. If Lucas was from the mines, became the Shadow, so he knows more than anybody else, like what you could do in the mines to potentially connect to other silos.
Right. He would know that there are other silos, and the algorithm is like, are you suggesting that he is down in the mines digging for other silos? Because if that is what you are suggesting, we should safeguard you right now. And Camille's like, no. That's not what no. Oh, I got an appointment I got to get to. And then she's like backing out of the room.
I do like his line at one point. I think the algorithm says no silo to silo contact, which kind of took me back to like elementary school, like when you're getting told, hey, keep your distance, kids.
Yeah. Or like when you go to sleepaway camp, they're like no silo to silo contact. It's like red and green makes purple or something. No purple. I don't know. Something like that.
Love it.
Is that how colors work? Who knows? All right. So we have the algorithm. Like the algorithm so many times it's just like, hey, should we gas everyone? Do you want to gas everyone? Maybe we should gas everyone.
If he had a hand,
what do you think?
If he had a hand, it'd be right over the button to gas everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And somehow it incepts Camille where she's like, you know what, let's not gas everyone. Let's just gas the people in the mines. So send fumigation to the mines. This lady that's like, is that code for something? And Camille's like, no. Just dump a bunch of rat poison and gas in the mine. And she's like, oh, so I guess it is kind of code for something. Well,
they make it sound like, oh, it's a rodent infestation, so we have to do all this. But, I mean, I guess she tells the one person, like, hey, Lucas Kyle might be in there, so we're sacrificing these people to try to get this one guy. Like, it seemed aggressive, even for somebody close to Camille.
On the watch, at first I was like, oh, we're going to kill a bunch of miners to get one guy. But I think what they were essentially doing is this stuff is not like lethal unless you're exposed to it for a long time, and so just flushing him out was maybe the purpose, which it does work. I would argue that these fumigating guys must just sit around with their gear on all day, just like they were waiting for this call. They were there so quickly. And so exactly.
That's what I assumed. Yeah.
We're going upstairs to the mines, and they're like, that doesn't make any sense. But everyone's getting gassed. We've got like people being held inside of a gate, which eventually they get out of. Juliet runs in to help. And much like when you're helping a drowning victim, they will try to drown you if it means saving themselves.
Yeah, we'll take turns.
She gives someone the mask, and that mask is immediately gone. And I would argue, running in here and giving your mask to someone else, it's like on a plane, Tom. They always say, put your mask on first, and then don't help any of the women and children around you, I believe, is what the airlines say. Is that right? I always have my phone on, or not on airplane mode, and my headphones in while the flight attendant's talking. So I just assume it's everyone save themselves is what they're telling me.
I'm pretty sure you're hearing that wrong, but I like it. I do. I just love this though because it's bringing back like old Juliet. Like she will go out there and try to help somebody if she can. Like even though she doesn't have all of her memories, she still is Juliet. She's still trying to help like her fellow man in the silo. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, and in this situation, she being a hero ran in to save someone, and I would not have been surprised had, as she's lying on the ground, Shirley walked over and Chambers in his wheelchair rolled over, kicked her while she was down, and been like, "Why'd you lose our gas mask, lady? You're so unhelpful." And then them like walk away. That's how helpful they are to Juliet in this moment. But
yeah, you're not wrong.
All right. So, Dom, I don't know if you saw this coming, but as Juliet, who looks like she's dead but is not dead, is lying there, who comes to save her? Who lifts her out of the yellow mustard gas and takes her to safety? Who blew us all away by his sudden appearance?
It was green, so maybe it's a relish gas. I don't know for sure.
That
but yeah,
sounds
it's
right.
our boy. It's our boy, double first named Lucas Kyle.
Wow. Yeah. Can't believe he showed up at this moment to help her and then carries her out, drops her. They say each other's name. I just want to be clear on this. Have these two spent more time together than I remember? They looked at stars twice and then that was it, right? These two didn't have any further relationship than that. I guess, did he help with the hard drive? The show is like, oh, these two star-crossed lovers, which right. I know you're a guy, you're a helpless romantic. Tom, and I just want to say, I think you're going to find the love of your life someday. I do think, I know it's getting pretty serious with your wife and child, but I think you're going to find that love of your life someday. So, are we supposed to care about these two from a romantic relationship side? Or are we only supposed to care about these two in the sense that she was looking for Lucas Kyle? Also, how does she recognize Lucas Kyle? Her memory's been wiped, Tom. Has her memory not been wiped? How does she remember him?
Thought the same thing, like when she first saw his face, like she immediately says Lucas. And I can't recall if like one of the person gave her like the helmet or said something to her, or she saw the face screen as a lie that reminded her and saw actually Lucas Kyle's face in a flashback or a flash memory, I guess, to her. But yeah, I was kind of surprised that they were immediately kind of together. But we did in the trivia, like, or the recaps, trying to remember all the different stuff that happened in the previous episodes. We know I think Lucas maybe showed more affection for Juliet, at least initially. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to be overly romantic or if it's just more like they're just friends and he's trying to do everything he can to help her. And she knows that obviously he has a lot of information to help her on her kind of journey. So, yeah, I don't know, but they definitely play it off like star-crossed lovers.
Sure.
Literally, right? They were looking at stars together.
Right. They were looking at stars. Yes, that's exactly what I was referencing. And Lucas is like, Juliet, gotta go. And then he runs. And little tense moment here with the Raiders who continue to be really bad at their jobs. I mean, the silo it can't have that many nooks and crannies. Like, the butter's not hiding in all of these places. But apparently... they cannot find this guy hiding in a closet, but the outsiders do almost immediately. And the outsiders even like, hey, this is a terrible hiding place. Why are you here?
This is the outsiders' territory, man. They knew who he was. Like they could track. The Raiders can. And the Raiders can't see through those ridiculous helmets.
They know every part of that English muffin, all of the nooks and crannies, all of the Thomas whole wheat English muffins that Tom and I love to enjoy. Every
Wait, we
day.
get sponsored by Thomas Muffins. I didn't know about this.
Listen, if we could get an English muffin sponsorship, I would die.
It's all been worth it.
This would, if you find your lady love, your true lady love, and I get English muffins, this podcast will all be worth it, Tom. All right,
win-win.
I just want to formally apologize to your wife. All right, so we then. It's like, guess what? We got a body, and it's Orla Kent. I was like, what? I'm sure they'll explore this more in the next episode, but it just seems so weird to be like, Orla Kent's missing. We have the conversation earlier. All of it just to be like, oh, there's her body. Yep, that's her. Like, okay. Like, give us some more, show. What's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, they played it off this could be a missing person thing, but I mean, knowing this show, I think it makes more sense for it to be like a murder investigation for him to kind of keep digging in. And again, I'm glad that we're giving Paul Billings something to kind of continue to dig into, and we'll find out what he finds. But yeah, I didn't expect this necessarily as a watcher because I thought they did a great job featuring her in that first episode, and I thought she was great, and I wanted more of her. But a bummer that we lost this new head of supply, shadow of supply.
Yeah, she was the head of supply. Now, you were on record as saying you didn't think she was qualified, but you obviously didn't want her killed, right, Tom? I just want to make sure that we get that on record. Once again, verbatim, you did not think she was qualified to run that department, but you didn't want her dead. Is that correct?
No comment.
Tom, I'm not quite sure you didn't murder her, if I'm being honest. I think Billings should have a word with you. All right, so we then cut to all of this is going on. We've got, I mean, there's not a rat in this silo, I can tell you that. But the algorithm is then talking to Camille and is like, hey, the survival probability of this silo increases if Juliet dies. And it took me a beat. We see a woman in the hospital bed. I honestly thought that was Orla Kent, and I was like, oh, she's not dead. But then it's definitely Juliet that's in that hospital bed, right?
Yeah, because you had like the nurse kind of hovering over her, and then kind of telling her, like, "Hey, lock this door, don't let anybody come in." But yes, that is Juliet, I guess, unconscious and kind of right for the killing for Camille to kind of come in and maybe give her a new pillow.
Right, and the conundrum, we'll call it, is if Camille, according to the algorithm, kills Juliet, then we don't have to do the vitamin D. People don't have to lose their memories. Also, we have this storyline that Juliet died a hero. Once again, Tom, she's a hero. She's not a hero to you. I know you have issues with her, but the rest of us all feel she's a hero. So
she's the hero we deserve, yeah.
Yes, and she's lived long enough to become the villain. I think that's what the Odyssey from Christopher Nolan has taught us. All right, we talked about this a little bit, but this is also where we get the evil monologue by the algorithm, where it's like, listen, the reason you were chosen as the head of IT is because your natural inclination for deception and lying, like you were chosen for this, and so we need you to continue to lie. Also, we need you to do just a little bit of killing, just a little bit of killing.
Just a light killing. I really liked this conversation because I was still a bit confused as to why the algorithm essentially like chose Camille in the end of season 2, and we really didn't get an answer until here because she essentially like sends Robert Sims out of the room and the kid and says, "Hey, I'm talking to you," but he essentially, or like the algorithm, kind of clocked all of what was happening of what we saw in season 2 of her manipulating her husband, which was kind of odd, or she was kind of playing both sides.
Right.
And now we kind of realize that the algorithm noticed this and decided that she would be a good replacement for Bernard.
Yes, I did think that it was interesting and how like we can continue to find out just how knowing the algorithm is and what it observes. And so, Tom, one more time, I just want to go back to this. So didn't think Orla Kent was qualified to run supply, and you were also very surprised when Camille got hired as the head of IT. Interesting. Okay. Just something
What are you implying, sir?
Note. Just something we should all note and maybe write down. And if you'd like to reach Tom, you can email him at teambingepodcast@gmail.com.
Listen, don't you dare clock that audience.
Just put in the subject line, "not an ally." That's all. And Tom will read it. All right.
You're the worst.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. All right. So we've been through the silo. We've figured out some things about Tom that I've always known and that our audience is just discovering. So let's go to the
You would make a great head of IT, all this lying you're doing.
Oh, interesting. So you think I'm qualified. Okay. I got it. All right. We're having fun. Let's go into the before times. And so, once again, I said it at the top. I did actually enjoy how this moved and what we found out here. And so, just to dive into it, we start with the memorial service. And this is a memorial service for one of Charlotte's wingmen. His name, I believe, is Juan, right, Tom?
Juan Alameda, I think. But, I mean, what would you give Charlotte's wingman name? I feel like there's got to be a good wingman name.
Oh, well, I think... I don't know him well enough. I mean, in this situation, Fireball, because that's ultimately
that's rough.
No, okay.
I was gonna say the Web.
Sure.
Charlotte's Web. I think that would go pretty well.
Well, that would apply to her. I think it'd be weird if his wingman name was.
She's the Spider and he's the Web.
Okay,
it works too well.
Sure.
Yeah. She's gotta have one too.
What
man.
we find out, Tom, is we are not qualified to be the head of call signs. That's what we're not qualified. I think you know who I think be a great head of call signs? Charlotte, Tom. Charlotte would be a great head of call signs. All right. So
is that because you're an ally?
Yes.
You're the worst.
I know. All right. I can't believe we're laughing through this memorial service. Show some respect, Tom. All right. You got issues with veterans, too, it sounds like.
We get so many letters. Our audience corner is going to be a nightmare next week.
Oh, no. I hope everyone knows we're joking. If not, nope, they turned it off after my comments, and we're going to get letters. The dad is speaking, and we find out he's prior service, and so Keen pulls him aside, and they have a conversation. And I think it's interesting. Like, the rumor mill is turning. These people are trying to figure out what's happened to their loved ones. This guy obviously has some affection for Charlotte because his son and her served together, and so that extends to Keen. And we get this brought up again about how, and they are just really jamming us over the head with it, that the radios and the communication stuff was all pulled from these planes prior to the mission. And I think two things. One is, and this is commented on later, about like taking over the planes and what can be hacked. And then the other piece is that these comms would not be coded or encrypted, so they could just be out in the world, and that leads us all to the dark web of it all, right?
Yeah, I kind of like that because, we get the bit about the old radios so they can, whatever the reason for the mission, but I like how that essentially opens up a idea of, because of that, it's not encrypted, so we could get audio of what kind of happens, which we get later on with our boy Steve.
So this guy shows up in a couple of different scenes. He showed up on the train. He showed up at the facility with Charlotte. I'm just going to call him Old Guy in a suit, because I don't think we have a name. Do you know this guy's name?
No, don't they call the guy that was like the dad in the memorial service?
No. The guy that's following Charlotte.
Well, no. Yeah, I know. But doesn't he call him? As I say, the dad, doesn't he call him like the captain of Nimitz? Like what is that? I still don't understand.
So the guy that shows up in uniform and takes his hat off, that's the captain of the Nimitz. Okay. They were on the carrier Nimitz. That's what they took off of. So, the pilot's dying from a ship. Obviously, the captain would have showed up to the memorial. It's the gentleman who the guy in uniform is talking to. Yeah,
I got you. Who we've clocked in a bunch of different scenes.
Yeah, he is not the captain of the Nimitz. He is just old guy that follows people, I guess, is probably his name.
Yeah, he's our shadowy figure that I feel like I've seen this actor from something too, so I don't think he's just going to be a guy in the background the whole time. I'm sure we're going to get more of him, but I think essentially anything kind of weird and conspiracy stuff going on in this before times, this guy is behind it.
Sure. Okay. Because I think he's shown up in every episode so far, so it would be really weird if we never find out who he is and he has no answers. But we have Helen and Keen, based on this information, going on a little side quest where they are looking for someone from the dark web in order to find those recordings. We get a great workplace comedy where Helen gets fired And the old guy is there as well during her firing. So this guy just has an unlimited transportation budget. He can be anywhere he wants to be.
Yeah, you figured he'd use more like surveillance or other people to do said surveillance. I mean, he's an older gentleman. I feel like all that hopping around the young man's game. But I do appreciate the company's name. Was it Zoes? It's a pretty dope name. And I do like how she has like the classic firing where she puts all of her stuff in a cardboard box and then has to walk to the elevator. Classic.
Yes. My favorite, or maybe the biggest laugh I got in this whole episode was when Keen and Helen are driving in order to get to their rendezvous. And Helen is like, I can't believe they fired me. Don't you think it's weird? And his reply is, well, were you doing a good job? And I just thought that was the best response. He's like, well, did you deserve to be fired? Which... I enjoy these two together, and that's not what you say. Although these people aren't friends. Like, she encroached on her sister's recovery. She, like, lied to sneak in there. So I don't really know, but I do appreciate the back and forth between Helen and Keen.
Yeah, I love both these actors, and they haven't had a chance to really chew up some scenes together, but I think they've got great chemistry, and I love their back and forth. And I love how just kind of like straight-laced Keen kind of is, where he's just kind of asking these questions. Like, he's not like meaning to be a jerk or to pry, but he eventually kind of understands like kind of how it probably came off. He's great. I love his deliveries in these scenes.
Oh, very fun. Very fun. All of this leading to us meeting Dark Web Steve, who... looked exactly like you would think Dark Web Steve would look. I think casting nailed this one. I don't know this guy. I've never seen him in anything else, but I would definitely buy like a hard drive or something off of him with cash. I wouldn't give him my congressional badge, that's for sure, but the other stuff I'm in on.
Yeah, that was kind of great. I had the exact same thought. This guy does seem like a Dark Web Steve. He is a Mountain Dew fan. He got a big bottle of, I think it was like a 1 liter or 2 liter of Mountain Dew. It wasn't the Baja Blast version, so I'll give him a little bit of a break. But, big fans of Mountain Dew on this pod.
Was it diet or straight Mountain Dew?
Oh, it was the real deal. It was the real deal. This guy doesn't have time for diet.
This guy's the man. This guy's the man.
I was confused. I didn't realize congressional badges were a thing that would potentially give you into like a bunch of stuff. I guess it kind of makes sense, but I just assumed they were more ceremonial, like a student ID.
No, I'm pretty sure they have to like get scanned in through a bunch of checkpoints, Tom. Our government takes security pretty serious. I don't know if you've heard, but we spend like trillions of dollars on it. So, and the best we can come up with was badges. But no, I appreciated how quickly Keen gave his badge up. He just cares about his sister so much and this mystery that he's like, I don't really care if you're a Russian agent who's going to, I don't know, bomb the White House. Here's my badge. I just want to listen to some recordings. The show, I don't know how I felt about this, where they do all this without a clear understanding of what they're going to get. He gives up this badge, and Dark Web Steve's like, oh, Dutch, or whatever his name was, didn't tell me I was supposed to give you the recordings. I was just supposed to tell you they existed. And it's like, come on, man. This is not Craigslist. Like, we had
read the room, pal.
We had a deal, you know? I don't know. But in the end, this leads to a cassette tape appearing. Tom, we are of a generation that used cassette tapes. Well, at least I am. I can't speak for you. But was it good to see the old cassette tape getting its due, going analog?
It was. Yes, and I like Dark Web Steve kind of calling this out. It's like, hey, I would do this thing on analog as much as I can for the kind of stuff that he is doing. He doesn't want this to potentially get cracked or somebody kind of finding him out, although we very quickly find out that somebody did find out. But we get this bit where he has 20 seconds, I guess, of the audio of them all or just of Charlotte.
The communication between planes. That's
okay.
The communication between planes is how I read it.
And then I was kind of bummed we didn't get to hear, right? So Helen listens first. She tells Keen, hey, don't listen. And Keen's like, yeah, forget that. I'm absolutely going to listen. I thought when Keen was listening, we would be able to kind of get cued in on it. But maybe we didn't because it was the same audio we heard in the first episode when we actually saw this happen. But I don't think that's the case, right? Because they have a conversation when they get back in the car about something about taking control of the planes or the pilots. So is there more in this we haven't heard and that we might get soon?
I thought this was a cheap showism that I really hated. Like,
Yeah.
we spend all this time. You're going to make us watch two characters in the show listen to something and not let us listen? It's just like, let us listen. Let us hear. And I don't know if it's because it gives them some vagueness so they can kind of make this, and it's only 20 seconds. I don't know. I just didn't like how they did this. I definitely felt like we should have been able to hear it. And you're right. And when I mean vagueness, they're in the car and all we get is, well, first off, she tells him you don't want to hear it. So it was something so horrible that he didn't want to, or she doesn't want him to hear his sister going through it. But then in the car, he's just like, what would take over those planes and those pilots like that? It doesn't make any sense. Well, I don't know. So yeah, I didn't like how they did this, but I also think that this is just like a show thing where they didn't either know how to play it in terms of give the right information, so they just left it open-ended. But it felt a little bit cheap.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. I really, really thought when they have two different characters listening to the audio, like I get when we have Helen listen to it, we don't get to hear, but then I thought it was going to turn up the audio and we'd be able to hear it as Keen is listening to it. Because I think it'd be emotional and kind of hearing this moment, because you see the actor of Congressman Keen like react to it, and it's brutal, and I think he does a great job with it. But yeah, I don't know why they then give us a little bit more breadcrumb about taking control of the planes later. Just give us the whole thing. Like, what else could possibly be in here? But I don't know. Well, I'm assuming we're gonna go back to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. At least have him pull the headphones off and be like, it's not her. She never would have ordered a number 3, and she would have told him to hold the onions. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Once again, I did not like how they did it, but I understand from maybe how they're trying to paint the mystery that they wouldn't. All of this leads and we're cutting back and forth, but as they're driving, Keen has this realization. He's like, actually, you know what? I want the recordings. We have to go back. And I don't really like how the show sometimes cuts to this timeline and we get 5 seconds. It seems abrupt. It gives us a little bit more passage of time, I guess. But why didn't he fight? He should have just fought for the recordings at the time. But instead, they have to go back to find that Steve is really bad at cleaning, I guess.
Yeah, I think all of this is they had to leave so then Steve's place could get completely ripped up, and either Steve got taken in or he got away. We don't know. We'll obviously, I'd imagine, find out here a little bit later. But I like Keen's response of saying, the people I work for need to know this. Not the shadowy creeps and the people I'm calling for money, but the people. He is a congressman. He represents the people. He's wanting to find answers for his constituents. So I like that line.
Sure. Yeah. Tom, as someone who is partaken in Mountain Dew and knows the effect it has, are we sure that Steve didn't just have 3 bottles and went into what I like to call a Mountain Dew rage and just destroyed his own place?
Now listen, that can happen, but if you do look closely, the Mountain Dew bottle is still there in the background. So that tells me he did not continue to drink said Mountain Dew and left it behind, which is wild. Who leaves Mountain Dew behind?
No, that's how you know he was forcibly kidnapped, is because that Mountain Dew didn't go with him. Now, there's a lot of people on the threads, on the forums, saying maybe there were some bottles off camera, that we don't know about, and maybe this was a spare. Maybe this one, I did see one guy zoomed in really close on the expiration date and found out that this one was expired. So maybe he left it behind because it was expired. I don't know. Maybe everyone likes to leave out a false Mountain Dew bottle so that one gets taken, but they keep their good stash hidden. These are all just things that I like to think about when I'm drinking Mountain Dew. Dew.
It just depends. It wasn't, if it was code red, then yes, big old alarm bells.
Yeah.
But not in this case. It's just the OG.
Did you know that if you leave a bottle of code red out in front of your house, it tells your neighbors things about you? Did you know that?
That you're a gamer and sleep at odd hours.
And rad. That's what it tells them. It tells them you're rad, Tom. All right. Good episode. I'm looking forward to 4. I appreciate that we are, we're getting some facts. We're getting some mystery. We're moving on at a clip. Some characters are making choices I don't necessarily understand or agree with. But, well, let me ask you this. Do you feel at the end of this episode, Camille is actively thinking she is going to murder Juliet, or is she putting on a kind of show for the algorithm, and she's going to try and figure out some way to not have to murder Juliet? And I do want to point out that the algorithm can like read her biometrics and figure out when she's lying, but she's very good at lying. And so my question is, do you think this was like a fake out? Do you think she's going to actually try and kill Juliet? Or do you think she's realizing the algorithm is a little bit off its rocker and she's got to play both sides?
I think it's a very fair question because, like, Camille even says, like, hey, I didn't take action with her earlier when I took the gun from her or whatever because I admired her and I wanted, like, she was asking the right questions. And, I mean, there is a little bit of a flip of a switch in that conversation where she says, like, yes, I will kill her, but I would still think maybe she will have a change of heart. Like, maybe she goes there and there with the intentions of taking out Juliet, but then ultimately can't do it. I don't know. She's a conflicted character, and I like her character in this because I do think it gives us quite a bit to play on with her family angle and obviously the Robert Sims of it all.
Sure. Okay. I think Juliet's dead by Camille's hand. 5 minutes into the next episode, I think.
Okay, great.
I think she's done. All right. With that, Tom, let us go into our favorite corner, Audience Corner. And I just
nobody puts the audience in the corner.
Want to give a quick shout out to someone who is engaged on the Reddit boards and mentioned our pod and some things that we said. This is a shout out to you, Carla Lee 415. This is me continuing to formally apologize about making the joke that Georgia is the apple state. We do know that Georgia is the peach state. And while we love apples and we think they're great, and we think everyone should have one, and that's not just because we're sponsored by Apple TV. We just think apples are wonderful and everyone should eat them, and then when we die, we should throw apples at our bodies. So that one goes out to Carla Lee. Tom, you've got the other bit.
Yes, and we're going to go through some 5-star reviews. So those who are kind enough to go to Apple Podcasts, leave 5 stars and read us throw us a quick comment. We'll read those on podcast. So thank you for those people that take the time to do that. It really does mean the world to us and helps us share this pod with a greater audience. So thank you to a recent review from A.E. Marling, who apparently appreciated our coverage from Widow's Bay. Hopefully she is joining us for Silo. So thank you very much for that.
Welcome to the family, A.E. Marling. Join us.
Yes.
Join us in the silo.
Yes. And then I have some kind of oldies but goodies here. These are people that did leave us 5-star reviews a while back when they were watching Silo, so hopefully they're still following us along for the journey. We had one from Cyberstalker. So is this Steve? I don't know.
Yes, this guy's perfect. Yes, he's definitely on the dark web. He has both of our social security numbers right now, guaranteed.
Oh, yeah, probably great. But perfect blend of humor and knowledge. They're fun to listen to and very addictive. So thank you for the kind words. And last, we have Bobby H216 said he found us through Silo, appreciates our conversations, discussions, speculation, has funds, and recommends us to all of his friends. And can't thank them enough for that, and can't agree more with that sentiment. If you are enjoying our shenanigans, and we would greatly appreciate it if you do share with your friends. You tell 2 friends, they tell 2 friends, pyramid scheme, everybody wins.
Yep, and then 1 billion people. I mean, I think that's how the silos began, is they all started listening to this podcast.
Leaving 5-star reviews,
and people were like, we need nuclear bombs. But no, we appreciate all of you that reach out to us. If you'd like to comment or have questions or something you'd like to discuss about Silo, you can reach us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. If you do watch or listen on Spotify, if you would be so kind as to hit the follow on that, as well as 5 stars, we would appreciate it. We do recently discover we have hats at TeePublic, which Tom and I each got one of our own, and there's nothing sadder than 2 guys wearing their own merch, but we're very proud of it. Actually, they're pretty good-looking hats, but it makes it awkward when Gam's like, hey, what is the Team Binge podcast? And I have to explain to her what it is, and I have to do it every time she sees me. Tom, you cover the socials. What did I forget?
I do. So follow us on social at Team Binge or at Team Binge Podcasts, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Threads, on Blue Sky, on Prancer and Dancer. Follow us on there. Let us know what your theories are. Again, be cautious with your theories. If you have read the books, definitely send us what your thoughts are and what you're thinking of the show, but please don't spoil anything. Again, it's been fun and the community has been great. There's a lot of people online kind of upset that they didn't even know season 3 of Silo was out. A lot of people are just finding that out now because Apple marketing is awful. But
we love Apple. We love Apple and we love apples.
And English muffins.
And English muffins. Thomas, specifically. Thomas, low carb.
But again, please follow us. Keep the feedback coming. And having a great time, man.
All right. For Team Binge, I have been Julian.
And I have been Dark Web Tom. Till next week, everybody.